Welcome to this explainer. Today, we're diving into an absolute masterclass in marketing strategy. We're going to look at a brand that completely dictates the premium feel of your furniture, usually without you ever even seeing their core product. We're talking about Hettich. Now, they entered the Indian market back in the early 2000s, right? And they just quickly established this commanding leadership position in furniture fittings and hardware. But their whole journey brings up a really fascinating question. How on earth do you market a product that's literally designed to be hidden away? Seriously. Think about it for just a second. When was the last time you actually thought about a hinge? Or, say, a drawer runner? If you're like most of us, you probably only notice your hardware when it breaks. You know, when a cabinet door aggressively squeaks during a midnight snack run, or a kitchen drawer gets hopelessly stuck halfway open. And right there, that universal annoyance, that sets up a massive marketing conflict for a premium hardware maker like Hettich. How in the world do you get people to value and crucially pay a premium for something they never ever want to think about? Okay, let's dive into this. To understand Hettich's genius marketing playbook, we're going to systematically break down their strategy into 5 key areas. We'll start with selling the invisible brand, look at how they engineer a premium experience, map out their multi-stakeholder ecosystem, explore how they localize the showroom experience, and finally wrap up with how they create massive consumer brand pull. So, starting off with Section 1, selling the invisible brand. There's this really fascinating contrast between what the consumer actually sees and what Hettich desperately wants them to understand. When a consumer looks at a beautifully renovated space, what do they see? They see the visible brand, a stunning, cohesive modular kitchen. But hidden directly behind all that aesthetic beauty is the invisible technology. That's Hettich's engineered fittings. Over time, Hettich actually realized that this invisible technology positioning isn't some weakness to overcome. Actually, scratch that. It's more like their absolute strongest marketing asset. To pull this off, Hettich operates in what we call a B2B2C model, business to consumer. Think about your standard fast-moving consumer goods brand, like Head & Shoulders shampoo, for example. They can just buy a primetime TV ad and tell the masses, hey, buy this shampoo. Hettich literally can't do that. They sell directly to other businesses, kitchen manufacturers, local carpenters, high-end designers. But they ultimately need to influence the homeowner's aspiration. They have to make that end consumer actively want and demand their invisible product. Moving on to Section 2, engineering a premium experience. So how exactly does Hettich bridge the gap between cold, invisible metal fittings and a tangible feeling of luxury for the homeowner? Well, they do it through this central marketing idea, German engineering that makes modern furniture work better and feel more premium. Look, the average homeowner probably can't rattle off the technical specs of a superior hinge or the tensile strength of the steel they use. But the phrase German engineering, that serves as a brilliant psychological mental shortcut. It instantly communicates precision, absolute reliability, and most importantly, premium quality, all without requiring the customer to have a degree in mechanical engineering. In marketing, a powerful mental shortcut like this is invaluable, honestly, because it saves a company millions of dollars in having to educate the consumer from scratch. And Hettich's massive product ecosystem brilliantly illustrates their true scale. They aren't just selling you one standalone component, no way. They've strategically built this incredibly extensive product ecosystem. We're talking everything from concealed hinges and avant-vacuum drawer systems to sliding doors, interior organization, and even furniture lighting and built-in appliances. This creates a huge strategic advantage. By moving beyond just a single hinge, it allows Hettich to embed themselves deep into an entire furniture project, which multiplies their value exponentially. So the absolutely crucial point here is this. Hettich is not primarily selling a piece of hardware. When a drawer closes completely silently, or a corner unit smoothly utilizes previously wasted space, they're actually delivering a feeling. Precision, functionality, durability, and design all add up to premium living. They're monetizing the emotional benefit of that effortless, high-end lifestyle experience. It's brilliant. All right, Section 3, the multi-stakeholder ecosystem. Now that we know exactly what they're selling, we need to look at who they are selling it to. Let's map out the complex chain of influencers Hettich has to conquer. Consider the steps in this B2B2C decision chain. First, a homeowner asks for a premium kitchen. Second, the interior designer or architect specifies Hettich in their master plans. And third, the kitchen manufacturer or local carpenter actually goes out and buys the fittings. This reveals a really critical insight. The primary decision maker isn't necessarily the person paying for the final kitchen. The architects and interior designers, they're actually the most critical influencers to target and educate here. So to capture these professionals, Hettich cleverly uses digital tools to create what we call switching costs. They offer Hettich CAD to help pros seamlessly plan and position fittings, a technical assistant for flawless installation, and Hettich Plan for quickly configuring furniture. Think about it. Once an architect or cabinet maker invests the time to become totally comfortable designing within the Hettich digital ecosystem, it becomes so much easier for them to just keep specifying Hettich systems for every future project. In the B2B world's convenience, workflow integration, and established habit are often way more powerful drivers than simply offering the lowest price. And this entire approach is heavily supported by their broader marketing mix, specifically in their promotion strategy. Because their product relies entirely on professional endorsement and physical experience, they don't just dump their budget into mass media TV ads. Instead, they rely heavily on experiential trade fairs like India would. That's where they can physically demonstrate their space-saving solutions and concealed hinges directly to architects, designers, and major industry influencers. This brings us to Section 4, localizing the showroom experience. Taking a successful global playbook and just dropping it into a new country rarely works on its own, right? Hettich didn't just import heavy German products and cross their fingers that they'd sell in India. They cleverly combined their global German engineering with local Indian manufacturing, setting up large facilities in Indore and Vadodara. But more importantly, they looked closely at local consumer insights. If you look at the reality of real estate in places like Mumbai or Delhi, you know that square footage is incredibly tight. By understanding these extreme urban space constraints, they adapted solutions like their magic corners to solve those exact local problems. It's a perfect India-specific value proposition. But how do you actually prove this value to a buyer? Simply telling a consumer, hey, our hinge is technologically advanced is, well, it's incredibly boring and completely ineffective. Hetchich's solution is immersive experiential marketing. They utilize dedicated experience centers and showrooms so consumers can actually feel the silent closing, trace the smooth movement of the runners, and interact with the clever lighting. They take this hidden, highly technical feature and convert it into a visible, highly satisfying sensory consumer experience. And they're actively taking this physical experience on the road. A massive part of their current growth strategy is expanding beyond major metros like Delhi and Mumbai. They're opening franchised Hechtich, or Hettich exclusive stores, specifically targeting Tier 2 and Tier 3 cities. This is a brilliant, highly proactive move to capture India's rapidly growing, aspirational middle and upper middle class housing market, right where the next massive home improvement boom is happening. These aspiring homeowners are driving the next great wave of retail growth, and Hettich is positioning themselves literally right at their doorstep. Finally, Section 5, creating consumer brand pull. This brings us to the climax of this explainer, the ultimate goal of transforming professional B2B respect into overwhelming consumer demand. Hettich's biggest strategic opportunity in India is shifting from a B2B push to consumer pull. Right now, industry professionals know Hettich fittings are top tier, so they push them to their clients. But the absolute holy grail of marketing? That's when the homeowner actively bypasses the carpenter's standard suggestions to demand, no, I want Hettich inside my kitchen. That subtle shift creates unstoppable, self-sustaining market momentum. And when you step back and look at the whole picture, you see an incredibly deep competitive moat. It starts with German engineering, supported by local Indian manufacturing, distributed through deep professional relationships, brought to life via localized showroom experiences, resulting in absolute premium brand equity. If a low-cost import or local competitor tries to take their market share, they quickly realize they can't just copy a single product. No way. They'd have to replicate this entire deeply interconnected ecosystem. Let's move to our final strategic insight, which perfectly summarizes everything we've covered today. Don't sell the hinge. Sell the experience created by the hinge. Because let's be real, nobody wakes up eagerly wanting a better drawer runner. They want a beautiful, quiet, spacious, and premium lifestyle. Hettich simply connects their invisible technical component to that highly visible lifestyle benefit. Which leaves us with this final thought. Hettich took something completely hidden and made it the absolute cornerstone of a premium home experience. So I challenge you, what invisible feature in your own business, product, or service could you reframe and turn into a premium experience for your customers? Think about it. Thanks for joining me on this explainer, and keep looking for those invisible opportunities out there.